So this is me. I'm Bob. I've been with WiSys pretty much for the duration. My job is to do presenting and help customers get to know WiSys and how we help customers do things. So I started thinking about this webinar and I wondered, well, why does anybody need more manufacturing options? You know, Macola as a product has been around for 40 years or so. People use it on the desktop. Most people that use it like it. Sometimes they're frustrated they can't do the things they want, but when you get down to it, Macola is pretty doggone functional. When you begin to think about going deeper into Macola, the idea to go deeper may mean to keep track of inventory and keep more data that goes into Macola. And to do that, you need tools. And WiSys is going to bring you the tool set to help you get that data into the system. I think about automation. I think about making it simple, easy, and efficient. I mean, out there on the shop floor, that's really what you want. You want to dumb it down, make it easy for people to get things done so they can go faster. When I think of automation, I think about doing batches of transactions versus one transaction at a time. And that helps you with velocity. That means you can have the same 10 people doing the same amount that they used to do, but being able to go faster, and then they can get more things done in a day. Also, using WiSys out on the floor is going to help you with accurate reporting. We want to get things into the system the right way the first time. You know, scan stuff, get it in the system, make it easy to record quantities. And then paperless. Lots of people want to go paperless, but I always say it paperless because you've got to get there slow. And by being able to do real-time transactions, you're not going to have to transcribe people's writing and write it down on all the paperwork. And what happens if you lose that paperwork? What does the accounting department do if you can't find it? And more timely, you know, if you're actually making stuff and recording it in real time, everybody that's using Macola, the front office and out on the shop floor, they're looking at better data, looking at it right now. So what do we struggle with out on the shop? Many people struggle with knowing if they have all the right materials. Even if you're using MRP to generate what you need to purchase and make, that's great, but you still have to watch the data all the time. So think about this. You have your Macola on your desktop, you're using Macola day to day, and you're getting ready to release orders for production. And you're thinking, I wonder if we really have that material. The inventory says they've got 100, but what do? Many times you call somebody or you have to get up out of your chair and go back and really look if you've got that material. And then there's people that schedule and reschedule all the time. You know, you've got all these jobs. Macola helps you with your infinite schedule that you could make everything in the world all at one time, but you know, you really can't do that. So you need to schedule jobs and then reschedule things based on what you really can produce. Customer compliance is a big issue. A lot of times I think of it as just, you know, you want to do business with this customer, you've got to do the labels they want. WiSys is good at that, but there's also other things. For instance, what if you're making a mechanical device and you have to have somebody test the welding, or maybe somebody has to certify that the particular vessel that you're making has the right pressure and it can hold it? What if you need to record that? Maybe you could use a user-defined field. Well, the WiSys applications are flexible. So we can add those additional fields in the manufacturing reporting or even the operations to catch those tests and that data. Sometimes you need the full paperwork. Maybe you have to scan that paperwork and put it into Macola 10, scan it in, link it as a document, or maybe you can just record the data during production. Another one I hear all the time is, you know, we're making items, but we can make them in packages of 6, 12, 18, 24, etc. And there's always a battle over how many SKUs are we going to have. So WiSys has a really nice table. where we can do conversion. You can have an SKU and have a pack size. So you can have a SKU for each, and then you can have a different SKU, so to speak, for the 6 and 12 and 18, etc. So you can keep track of that. And the packages, using the package capability of WiSys, we can actually see what we have in inventory. And then there's the paperwork, getting it done timely, getting all your issues into the system, reporting finished goods, and recording labor if you're using shop floor. So those are pretty common issues that I hear from people that are checking out WiSys. So for today, the options I'm going to go over are, I have a lot of options, so I'm going to use some screenshots to get us there faster, but we're going to look at POP options, shop floor, and then we're going to take a look at what some customers are doing with PLCs, programmable logic controllers, and how you could take advantage of that. And then towards the end, I'm going to do some transactions so you can see WiSys really doing something. If you're on the move and moving up to Macola 10, you need to know that WiSys is where you are now with progression or ES. And when you move up to Macola 10, we can actually embed some WiSys browser components right inside the new Macola browser interface. So if you're hungry to use Macola in a new way, adding WiSys components to it is really cool, because all the grid style technology that we have pretty much translates and then can be dropped right into your Macola screen. You can just click this button and add a component or add a link. It's pretty easy. I'm not going to really cover a lot to do with that. I've done that in other webinars, but moving on. The WiSys POP application, these are the bullet points of the things that are built into POP. So the things that we have are the console, the handheld, the desktop, being able to do transactions. But I'd like to just hover over this word POP Plus. WiSys isn't just POP, the same way that Macola does POP. Of course, you can do that if you want. But the idea is to really do inventory control. So POP Plus takes one step towards shop floor control, in that the bill of material components on the POP order can actually be issued rather than backflushed. And there's a large document on our website, a POP white paper, that talks about the changes that are there. And mostly it's accounting, how we handle WIP. But for those of you that have production, and production is more of a recipe or a chemical mix or a blend or a powder, many times that bill of material is going to change based on characteristics that you've got to deal with. So when we do transactions today with POP, I'm going to do some material issuing, and you'll see how that works. So if you're frustrated with Macola and POP because you're constantly releasing and unreleasing POP orders, and you're thinking about shop floor, you may not have to go to shop floor. You could just stay with POP. The reason to go to shop floor is you want labor, or maybe your build time takes a long time to get there. Maybe it takes 2 weeks or a month to make something, and you need to see what's changing in labor and operational steps. But if POP is making you happy, but your material plan could be better, I want you to really think about POP Plus. There's a component that we've created for POP. We call it a console. Macola has what they call workspaces, but a WiSys console is actually going to blend in components here at the top. This is your ribbon bar. And so I click on this component here, POP. This one component opens up over here. We have all of our POP orders here, different statuses of the POP orders, and then down below is the captured bill. Once I have this open, then I can do things. So if you're the kind of company that has a few powerful people that do and make a lot of decisions and want to go faster, you can do all your material work right here. You can close orders, you can reverse production, You can print documents, you can add components, you can even edit an order, and you can add a POP order. So this is like your one-stop shop for POP. That's kind of a mouthful, isn't it? When I click a component here, it'll open up across this tab bar right here. But you can also undock these things and put them on your desktop as individual components, or you can bundle them right into Macola 10. Pretty powerful. Each of these are individual components, whether they're inventory, order processing, shop floor. These components are granted to you based on your role or based on your individual component being granted by the system manager. We have a planning screen. You'll notice here that this particular column is opened up. And on this, basically, these are all my POP orders. These are all items that are made by POP and whether I have demand that I need to deal with. So just sitting right here, I can change quantities if I want to, and then I can create this button push this button for create order, and I can create and release a POP order really quick. And notice how many I could do at one time. I could do them all or just a few. And I can even check at the last second whether I have stuff to make stuff. One of the new grid options that we have is the ability to display images in a grid. A lot of people have asked for that. These could be the same items that are on your website. And this isn't really difficult to do. Some people want them in a database. Some people want them as loose files in a directory. All those options are available to create items in a grid. Okay. Manufacturing with POP, you've seen many times, probably over here on the scan gun. Those of you that have our warehouse product and maybe POP, you may have been doing transactions on a scan gun. Scan guns definitely have advantages for being mobile, but they're also pretty expensive. What if you could have an inexpensive desktop application with a wand scanner or a USB type scanner and just pop up a screen and do your material work? So now we have both. And you could even do these on a Windows type tablet. It's up to you. Reporting of finished goods. Yes, we've been doing reporting for finished goods over here on the scanner for a long time. But now as a desktop worker, you can report production, capture the lot number in process, and we can even print labels on the fly. So as you're producing things, labels just start coming out. There's a number of other screens that are built into Agility on the desktop. I can add components to the captured bill. I'm going to do POP backfill today. This is a technique for doing Kanban type manufacturing. I'll explain more about that when I start doing it. We could reverse production. We can also close POP orders. That's something new that we need to do with WiSys POP Plus, is when we get done, we need to tell the POP order it's done so we can roll the costs up. There are documents built in to Agility. So inside of the Agility framework is a place where you can print crystal documents or PDFs. You can also have personalized documents on a per customer or item type basis. Maybe you need a different looking document for each item that you produce so you can remember those in the system. And that documenting and labeling system, many of you may have used Bartender, Nice Label, Label Matrix, other products like that. Those are fairly expensive products, and WiSys Label Designer comes built in with our framework. When you begin to use our technology in a grid, the grids are really ways of doing reporting. And if you're doing real-time reporting, grids are real-time. And you can refresh a grid at any time you want. And that means you don't have to print a crystal report to, like order statuses or or orders in process, things like that. What if you could just come in and filter a grid for the things you want? This is a variance grid that's set. You can set this variance to what you want, and then it'll change color based on that. And again, because WiSys is built with a framework of tools, if you want to add something to a screen, you can do that with our customizer. And that tool set comes with WiSys. You don't have to buy it. It's included. If you're working with a WiSys consultant, the WiSys consultant is going to use this right there on your system to build things, or they can build things remotely and then upload them to you. But the designer system is built in. I know a number of you have spent time with our agility framework and understand these tools. All right, let's switch over to shop floor now. Again, these are the big items that are in shop floor. And I'm referring to our newer applications here as Agility Shop Floor versus the older Shop Floor Work Center reporting. The difference is the Shop Floor Work Center reporting that we started out with was very programmatic, and it really was very linear in what it could do. You had to fit it rather than having Agility fit you. Now this type of Agility product here with our tool set can be worked out to your process instead of having you fit our process. It makes Macola a lot more flexible. Again, we have a console, labor reporting and capturing, material, etc., and variances, and calendars, and all of that. So we'll get into some of that. Again, here is a console. Same idea with the ribbon bar. You can edit shop orders, create new shop orders, all here. You'll see me do that. And then you can filter a number of different ways by work centers and departments and look at your plan and take action. There's a really nice calendar in the system. This calendar lets you see what your workload is. And then there's a schedule button down here. And if you click the schedule button when you're touching one of those days, it's going to display the items right here, the shop orders that you've got open. And then if you're on this particular line, it'll open up that shop order and you can actually reschedule it right here using Macola technology. So you can see that I'm using WiSys desktop technology with Macola desktop technology, all blended in together. This means you do need a license for Macola and a license for WiSys to do this at the same time, but it's really powerful. Okay, something new that you haven't seen before probably is labor capture. And the nice thing about this is it's a simplified user interface for shop floor. You really don't enter much and start a job. And with this new addition, I can work on multiple jobs, multiple operations, multiple people can be capturing multiple different things, and it's all going into the database and keeping track of your time. You can see here that Kip, right here, I've got him on the job, and if you just leave this open on your work center, it'll just sit here and spin, and you'll see how many minutes you've got as your elapsed time. Or if you close it, it'll just work in the background, and when you pop it up again to finish and stop your job, then it will know the amount of minutes you've been working. And it's very clever how that works with the number of users and things like that. And you can record your downtime, which is also indirect work, and some things like that. I think you'll like how that works. Again, we have material issue and material return. Here it is on the handheld. Here it is on the desktop. This is what happens when you stop an operational. This is your report operational quantity. So I'm coming in here, and this is a non-finished good operation. So it just wants to know what I did. And then for the person reporting the finished good quantity, look what it does now. It keeps track of the amount that you're producing. If it's a binned item, it knows where you're putting it. Physically, it's going to exist in this bin as soon as I hit enter. And it's going to calculate your lot number. And I'm going to show you some techniques with lot control in just a minute. Again, you're going to get a label, whether you use the handheld or the desktop, it'll print a label for you. This is the new table that we have where all of your labor goes into. So many people wanted something for the manager to review, edit, change, add, etc. So here it shows me what I've completed on each job and operation. I've got the whodunit right here. I know what time they started and stopped, etc. And over here, it keeps track of the amount of time that we're going to split between all these jobs. So you can imagine if you have quite a number of people working during the day, you may want to come in and filter by maybe just your work center or work group, or maybe one particular job when you know it's done. You could come in here and check things. Really powerful to do that. And again, it's going to calculate this split. And this calculation is not a one-size-fits-all. So if you have a different way that you want to calculate it, maybe you want to do it by pieces per job, or maybe you want to do it by hours per job. There are lots of different ways to split time. Your consultant can change this calculation to do it your way. With Shop Floor, we have some new documents. We have a picking document. This tells you what to go get and where to take it. And we have a shop packet. Ronald on our support team has created these new documents to add to the system. They're all in Crystal, so you can copy them. And if you want to, change the logo or put different information on here or pictures of products, you can do a lot with that. Again, if you've got questions, you can put them in on the side and we'll get back to them. And again, variance reporting. You can pick an individual shop order and a filter over here, get the data back, and then you could look at the different operations, work centers, and things like that. Again, you can filter and you can see what's going on. If maybe somebody forgot to issue something, you could actually issue more material if you had to. One thing about these buttons, when you think about these screens, these buttons are reusable. If you have a button on a screen that you like on one application and you want it on another, your consultant can move those buttons around. You can learn to do it yourself. So buttons are like objects. Little functional bugs that you can put on there. Then if you have a happy thing that you like to do, you can put a button on there and off you go. And finally, we've got some analytics built in. This is one sample production per day by different business unit. And once again, if you don't like the way we designed it and you want it to look different, add more information, you use the designer to do that. A couple of footnotes here about Agility on the new Shop Floor product. The devices that we're supporting right now still need to be Windows devices. We've got some cool stuff in the works for probably end of the year for more Android devices. It works with all the versions of Macola out there, except Btrieve. If you're on Btrieve, I'm sorry, you got to move up someday. And Shop Floor Work Center reporting, it's still there. We're not throwing it away. It's good. It really fits in if you're using payroll. If you need the clocking in and clocking out, that's really what that's for. Shop Floor Work Center reporting does that. And if you already own our Shop Floor Work Center reporting, if you already are doing the warehouse product with WiSys Shop Floor, that means you own Agility Shop Floor. If you have named users already, you're going to have this product. Or if you have the modular solution for Shop Floor, you're going to get this product. The Agility Shop Floor is licensed as a named user, or you'll need a seat license to use it in modular format. So Agility on the desktop has seat licenses that are different from the handheld licenses. So that's how we get paid around here, is to create software that you need to use and get a license for. That's how I keep my job. And so when you use the Agility Shop Floor as a kiosk, you may have 10 reporting stations out on the shop floor. Those kiosks need a user license also as a workstation. So you might, on the desktop where you're using the Agility Explorer product today, you can use it as Larry or Bob or Aaron. That's your name when you log into Windows. But if you're out on the shop floor, we're going to license that by Workstation 1, Workstation 2, Workstation 3. If you try to log in multiple times as Workstation 1, you'll have a problem. And you need to get some more seat count, which is only fair. One thing to remember is it's not licensed by manufacturing employees. So if you have 10 kiosks in the shop, that's fine. You're licensed. And all 100 people could be able to use those 10 kiosks. So you don't have to pay on a per manufacturing user. So I think that should be pretty exciting if you have a large number of people out there as a workforce. Now let's talk about PLCs, programmable logic controllers. People have been doing manufacturing automation for years. WiSys, we have programming tools to do that. And you can also do it with our basic agility product if you're clever. And we'll talk about that. So I've got a couple pictures here. Let's take a look at this. And I'll describe how this is working. Okay, so what you're looking at is a machine that is packaging finished goods. The machine fills the container, and as it reaches the top, you get a go light, and it pushes that box on. We're building a pallet or a container right there. So for each time you fill that up and it pushes it on, we're going to get some finished good production. Okay, so what's happening is the company that's doing this has a machine center. They basically load information about the shop order into that machine and get it set up. Then as the logic controller begins to do some production, it's marking a database, it's tagging it with the shop order number and the quantity after the package is built. And in the background, the machine that's running ends up creating packages. These are pallets, cartons, whatever you want to call it. Each one of these boxes, if you think about it, is a container. A container in WiSys can really be anything you want. Most people think of pallets or cartons. And it could be a container ship, all these different things. But as this machine is filling this up, when it reaches the top, it goes click, and it's going to do a transaction in Macola. And it'll record that, and then it also prints a label that goes on the box. So it's fantastic what we're seeing people do. High levels of throughput and production are happening inside the Macola user base all the time. And it's not expensive. You can get, with the basic agility system, as an example, one customer is using a Siemens controller. The Siemens people write their data to a SQL table. It's not a Macola table, but they write the data that we need into that table, and then we transform that data into Macola transactions using our toolkit. You can either do it as a black box that it just runs, or you can have it fill up a table and maybe somebody wants to check it before it's actually processed. So it can be as automated as you're comfortable. Very powerful stuff with WiSys.